Hey there, friends and enemies, JoPaWrites here again, and today we say farewell to The Division Heartland, a game I was very excited about, but will never actually launch, as Ubisoft has confirmed the game is officially cancelled at this point, and that's a major bummer to me personally for a lot of reasons. So I'm going to go through why I think it was canceled, the problem with games right now in general, and also just a look back at why I thought The Division Heartland could have been something special, even though obviously it had a ton of issues. So I am a longtime Division 1 player whose favorite mode was survival. So that was the OG extraction experience in a looter shooter game, and I loved it. I thought it was a interesting twist, almost BR in nature, and they had the foundation there to do something really incredible. And that was a game mode that I absolutely loved. I played it a ton. You combine that with what they learned from the Dark Zone in Division 1, and I thought something like The Division Heartland was a perfect amalgamation, a perfect combination of those types of game modes. And yet, they didn't launch anything like that in The Division 2, which had me really curious, especially as we saw a rise in extraction shooters and BRs. And I thought it was an obvious layup for them to do. And as The Division 2 floundered, we got to see how many issues they actually had, how much they could have used a game mode like Heartland, like Survival, to really extend the gameplay for people who might be bored with doing the same types of missions over and over. And so that's something that I am surprised by. A developer has come out and said that originally The Division Heartland was supposed to be a small battle royale type of game in The Division 2. And so I think that would have made way more sense, or at least adjacent to. You know how Call of Duty has free-to-play Warzone? Something like that for The Division 2, I think, with Heartland, would have been the perfect combination, where you can earn things across both games, and there's incentives if you're a Division 2 player to play Heartland and vice versa. So for me, there was a lot there to really look forward to. And again, I don't play a ton of extraction shooters myself, but this would have been a more extraction shooter, looter shooter, BR hybrid, which I think is unique enough to be successful. It had the Division IP, it had a lot of potential for success, but what we're seeing now with these game studios is they are so risk averse. They are so afraid of trying something that could fail. It feels like we're not getting as innovative stuff from these AAA games, which is why we've seen the most success recently from AA games like Baldur's Gate 3, which, again, pretty big studio at Larian, but also Helldivers 2, and then you've got a game like Pal World being very, very successful. So looking at these AAA games, I do feel like we are struggling right now with them being creative and iterating on the video game sphere and doing unique new things versus them being so risk averse that they don't want to try anything new and have fun with it. And that's where I think The Division Heartland wasn't completely new, right? It was kind of riding the wave of the flavor of the month right now, which was like Tarkov, extraction shooters. We're seeing a ton of other studios looking at launching extraction shooters as well. BR is obviously very, very popular, and yet they could have done something to really make this bang. And it makes me wonder, because the recent beta that they had for The Division Heartland was actually pretty well received. So that tells me the game must have been far enough along. We had heard rumors that this game was supposed to launch earlier this year. So either they had so many issues with the game that it was basically unplayable, so they could not launch it. And keep in mind, Ubisoft stuck with Skull and Bones for years and years, and then eventually that game completely fell apart, essentially. It launched, but disappeared from the radar of most players almost immediately. It's really struggled after launch, and maybe that was what led them also to decide that Division Heartland was not worth it. They launched that game, understand that continuing to provide support for these live service, always online games takes a lot of time, energy, and mostly money, and they weren't going to be able to do that with the Division Heartland. So at some point, it's a good thing that they know when to cut their losses, but it's wild to think all this developer time that could have gone into helping out with a Division 3 or a Division 2 Reborn or something of that nature has now essentially been wasted unless they find a way to integrate this game into whatever they do next with the Division or another property. And that's something that I do hope happens, because again, it feels like a giant waste that they spent years. This was announced, I believe, in 2019. So announced 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And so now the fact that it's not coming out feels like a giant shame. And there's something wrong at the development studio structure of Ubisoft right now, because the fact that Skull and Bones got extended and took so long to come out, the fact that the Division Heartland has struggled like that, the fact that Division 2 has gone, okay, we're not making any new content. Oh, wait, we are making new content. Oh, wait. You know, it's been back and forth so much that it feels like their live service structure doesn't have any clue what direction they want to go. And because they're constantly shifting on the direction, it is leading to them wasting so much time, energy, and effort that their games that are successful have to be so successful to make up for these lost profits and lost revenue that it's just almost impossible to do. And so they're always behind the eight ball, and they will not try anything risky because they are struggling so much. Anyway, yeah, this is a very sad day for me personally. I wanted a new game in the Division universe to sink my teeth into. I was hopeful it would be good. I was worried it would come out and it would be similar to Battlefield Hazard Zone, where it was just underdeveloped and undercooked. But because it was standalone, I had a bit higher hopes. It wasn't baked into the game. And yeah, I just feel like we are at a crossroads for these types of games, for these universes. We see it with Destiny 2. What new can they provide? What can we see in the looter shooter aspect that's going to be successful? Because outside of extraction shooters, looter shooters, extraction shooters, and battle royales right now are by and large struggling to capture and retain audiences outside of like Fortnite essentially. And that's really a big concern for me as somebody who loves those types of games, because I want to see what's next. We have like the First Descendant coming out, we have some other options, and it does feel like these always online games are kind of falling by the wayside. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about the Division Heartland. Are you upset that it's not coming out? Did you not have any faith in it anyway, so it didn't matter? My name is JoPa. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, helps me out tremendously. Shows you want to see more content of this nature, a little bit more exposition than anything. Have a good one. I'll catch you all later.